So it goes on to say, because of the psychological reversal, she will raise the male Negro child to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. So I want to talk about that. You know, because a lot of times the fathers are missing out of the black home, some of these mothers, they hold on to the male child. The black mother and the female child, the female child ends up getting her own place, but she really holds on to that black male child, that's crippling our men. And a lot of times it's due to being lonely and just being in a routine for decades at a time of raising children and not wanting to be alone. And not really preparing him with the tools that he needs to go out here to succeed. Not only that, but it is not solely on the black woman, neither really is it on the black woman, period, past a man's pubescent years to show him how to be a man. I agree with other men out there that a woman cannot teach a man how to be a man. She can teach him how to be respectful to women to a certain extent. She can teach him how to take a bath. She can teach him how to cook a dinner. But as far as the intricate details on step by step on what it takes to be a successful man, it takes another successful man to do so. So it doesn't just take a man that has no skill. It takes a man to show that man, how to change a tire and, what's useful and to be productive out in society and to own his own business and just the feelings and things and everyday things that men go through. It takes a man to be able to tell that young man when he's out of line, to be able to tell that man when he's right or wrong. It takes another man to do so. I'm not going to say all men, but men tend not to really take women as seriously, even the mother. A man takes another man more serious, I would say. And that's what it takes out here. And, they say that the black woman raised the black male child like that so it could preserve his life when it came to the white slave master. And, just to see the black woman now, she's being accused so much of, the failure rate of the African American child. I heard these men go on, and I hear it quite often on the news, when there's a black man that is killed or a black man that murders someone or a black man that does a lengthy jail sentence for drug usage, it's always the mother that's brought up. What did she do? She's a good for nothing mother. She's a sorry excuse for a mother, but no one says anything about the black man, the black father. Where was the black father at as well? So I need the black man not to care when he's absent from his child's life. I need the black man to care before he's absent from his child's life. And if the black man wants to gain any respect from the black woman's eyes, it's time for the black man, when he's backed into a corner, to stop blaming white men. And so every time a black man's backed into a corner about, why would they do the same thing to a woman that they claim that their father wasn't there for them? Their father walked out on them. Their father got with another woman and didn't pay their mother a dime, and their mother had to do all sorts of things to feed them, and she was stressed and upset and abusive, and she was mad. And I'm like, well, why would you do the same thing your father did? I've heard a lot of black men give me the response, it's because that's how we was raised, because of slavery, because of the white man. And I'm like, a real man doesn't give excuses for his failure. Okay. I mean, you don't hear white men doing it. You don't hear white men blaming black men for their failures. And it's time, if the black man wants any respect from his own woman, and if he wants any self respect, respect himself when he looks in the mirror, to start taking um, responsibility for his own actions. And if you want to stop paying child support, stop breeding like you're a slave. Okay, every woman that walks past you, you don't have to sleep with them. And if you do, have some common sense, not sow your oats in her and then expect for her to be totally responsible for your sperm. Okay, and I've already made a message to Black women in single motherhood. So this is going for Black men as well. Okay, so no one's 100% to blame, but if Black men call themselves the head, if they call themselves the leader, you ask a man to raise their hand if they feel like they should be head of the house. A Black man will raise his hand. If you say a Black man needs to take charge of his house, a Black man will raise his hand in a heartbeat. If you ask a Black man, should a woman be submissive to him, they'll raise their hand in a heartbeat. But when you start to tell the Black man the facts of, when the team fails, it reflects leadership. Oh, then they get to saying you're bitter, but it's reality. When your family fails, when your children fail, this is on you. Okay, this is a lot to do with you. I'm not going to say all the time. Not every Black man just walks away from his family, but for those Black men that do, and they have no self control over their sexuality, and they're just having 4 or 5 kids with 10 women, and they're laughing about it, but then want to get upset when the Black woman is used as a tool because of her anger and hurt to place you on child support and you don't want to pay it. So you are getting locked up and you're getting raped in prison. You're getting all these things done to you. You get your manhood stripped from you, your paycheck garnished, all because of the lack of self control of the Black man and Black woman because we refuse to make better choices in our mate selection. So instead of worrying about how big a man's genitalia is, instead of worrying about what she can do in the bedroom, we need to be asking ourselves vital, critical questions that are going to last us 50 years and afterwards. So basically, what I'm saying is we need to be asking ourselves at the dinner table, who are you? What values, what do you believe in? How do you feel about parenting? How do you feel about relationships? How was your mother and father's relationship? We need to be asking ourselves these critical questions because a lot of our choices, we haven't been taught as Black people the art of courting and marriage because we just been taught just to lay down and breathe for mass production. Just go ahead and breathe. And then we get mad at each other when we find out after we lay down with each other that we're not a good fit for each other and we might actually hate each other. But these things need to be considered before the Black man or woman lays down. And we need to stop pointing the finger at each other and come up with resolutions. So let me continue. Okay. Um, because she has been psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. So where do we get that from? So like I said, nothing new is under the sun. Black men are complaining that Black women are too independent. They're going to college. They're acting like they're just smarter than the Black man and all this stuff. Well, the white man knows, you know, that the woman can't have too much education more than the man that she's with because it's unequal. Okay, and black one Black man said that a Black woman just goes to school because she's got all those kids and she wants to collect those checks. And I'm like, it doesn't matter why the Black woman's going to school. The fact is, how is the Black woman being bombarded with the kids, whether she had them, trapped a man, or whatever she did? But she carried herself and those 5 kids through school. What's going on with our Black man's brain that he can't go to school? Now, I understand back in the 50s and the 60s, you couldn't get a there was no such thing as financial aid, excuse me. There was no such thing as financial aid. But now, you know, we need to start raising our Black men that no, you can't get those felonies. If you want to go to college, you can't get those felonies. They won't give you any financial aid. And then hopefully one day we won't even have to use financial aid because we would have been built some type of generational wealth to where our children don't need financial aid. Or if you don't want to go to school, son, you need to be trained to own your own business. Okay, something legal. Okay, but that's what's going on. Black women are trained to be independent because we've been trained through trauma not to be able to depend on our man. And then the Black man now, he's dogging the Black woman so bad, you know, um, because of his mother. A lot of these mothers, and that's why I say it's just a domino effect. And I encourage the Black man, someone has to be strong. There's got to be a generation that breaks this curse. If the Black woman is upset and abusing the kids because she's been dogged out by a man, and then you grow up as a Black son and you dog a woman out, what do you think your son's going to grow up and do? What do you think your daughter's going to grow up and marry an abusive man? It's time for Black women and Black men to get together and say the buck stops here. You can't control my brain. You can't I'm not a slave. I can have a productive and wonderful family. It's time for fathers to stop living across the street and everything. And you know, black women, it's hard for them to trust black men because you have black men calling one brother called him a simp. So this is, I guess, a man that wants to get along with his woman, who wants to do what his woman asks him to do. I'm like, well, how is that a simp? Like, so basically, you have to be abusive and aggressive to your woman to be an alpha male. Like, I'm not saying that you have to be a yes man to everything your woman or your wife says, but this is the type of attitude that's got black women afraid to trust black men, because a lot of them are afraid they'll get abused. Um, and I think that this society has black women and black men at odds with each other. So they've got black women being used to destroy the black man. And in retrospect, I believe so much oppression has been laid upon the black man that he hates his own image and hates anything in his image, including his black male and excuse me, including his black woman and his black child. So I'll repeat that again. I believe the black man has been oppressed so bad that he hates his own image in the mirror and he hates anything that resembles his own reflection, including his black female and his black child. Let me continue. It says, what have you got? So after the black woman has been taught to be independent psychologically, it says, what have you got? You've got the Negro woman out front and the Negro man behind and scared. So that's what's going on now. With what's going on, you got the black woman, vocal, boisterous. She's not afraid. Society tells the black woman that she's able to talk, and the black man gets shot. He gets shot for speaking his mind, so to speak. And so that's caused the black woman to have, I believe, a lack of respect for the black man because it's not in a woman's nature, regardless of race, to respect a timid man. And this is not timid as far as being loving towards your woman, but being afraid to be assertive. The black man does not have the freedom, um, unless you're rich, I guess, in this country to really, be assertive and be a man. And I think a lot of black men, I think they struggle to find their mark in manhood, partly because they don't have any fathers around. And if they do have a male influence, it's not their father, for the most part. And if it is their father might not have known the way. So they're showing them negative ways on how to treat women, I believe. And so then there's a hatred for men from black women, especially. Black men that have no respect for women, and that usually trickles down to their daughter. So there might be rape, molestation, physical violence involved, and so that takes away the femininity of the black woman because it causes her not to trust a black man. And so the cycle just continues and continues. And speaking of which, the next excerpt says, by throwing the creative and submissive dependent mind of the Negro slave, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Okay? Unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female slaves. That's deep. So they're saying that we're creative, okay? They already know we're talented and creative, but they're saying now we're submissive and dependent. So the mind of the Negro slave, we have created an orbiting cycle. So that's like a planet that's spinning on its axis. Okay, it's just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. Okay, automatically spinning, turning on its axis forever. So they're saying this method was supposed to last as long as Black people are in existence. Okay, unless a phenomenon occurs, so something spectacular comes to shift, reshift, and position the male and female slave, our mind. And I wanted to point out lastly as I close out, in the beginning of his letter, it states to keep the slave's body, take the mind. And that reminds me so much of the Black woman and man today. You know, our minds are here. I mean, our bodies are here, but our minds are absent. It's like we're zombies. Like we're unable to independently think and function for ourselves. It's like we're playing a role of someone else's imagination for our own lives. And I'm hoping that can change for us as a people because our lives depend on it. And we are physically free to a certain extent, but our minds are not free at all. So I wanted to say a belated happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And I want to encourage the Black man, instead of making fun of the single mothers, be a father in the home every day to your children to make sure that we stop the cycle of male and female hate that is concocted out of these type of family situations. It's been a pleasure talking with you all. If you'd like to get in contact with me, if you have any questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can get in touch with me at thetruthwithtrinity.com. You can listen to me on YouTube, Anchor, and Spotify. And always remember, if you can't tell the truth with anyone else, you can with Trinity. Till next time, take care.